WBOK1230.com.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Conversations with Richardson on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming worldwide on WBOK1230.com and also on YouTube. We are back with another great episode of Conversations with Richardson, talking about a very important topic that is going on in the community, not only here in New Orleans, but all over the United States, man. Talking about the current Medicaid cuts and cuts of different programs that are going on around the nation, especially when it comes to HIV and AIDS. And I would like to welcome my special guest, the woman of the hour. She is known affectionately to many of us as Nanny T. Tamasha, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having us.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Yes.
I never knew your last name. What is your full name?
Tamasha Davenport.
Say that one more time.
Tamasha Davenport.
Tamasha Davenport. See,
Yes.
That's a little bit more formal, right? Nonetheless, man, welcome to the show. She is a member of the organization called the HIV Prevention Mobsters, and she's here to join us to talk about the current cuts of the programs concerning HIV and AIDS and Medicaid and different things like that due to the current administration. So first of all, how have you been?
I'm good. Working hard, but good.
Okay. So give my listening audience a brief introduction of who you are and why you're here.
Well, again, I'm Tamasha. As you heard Ron say, Nanny T is my social media handles. But program director of our HIV program, which is known as HIV Prevention Mobsters. And it was started 30 years ago with our church. Our church got involved in the HIV fight because, church members were presenting that they were living with HIV, families were being impacted and vulnerable to HIV. So the pastor, shouts out to Pastor Bruce Davenport, my pops, for taking a stand. And so when we took a stand, we started doing outreach in the communities. Back then, the projects were up. We were right across the street from the St. Bernard Project. So we did a lot of work right across the street and throughout the rest of, New Orleans area. So we're known to do the HIV testing, the HIV advocacy, HIV education, HIV and STD or STI education. We do distribute condoms, and we partner with a lot of businesses to have the condoms available in their sites, like the barbershops, beauty salons, and things of that nature. We partner with a lot of HIV providers as well as a lot of other service providers, whether it be mental health, medical, and just in general community work. So we're not new to it. We've been out here.
Right. Well, man, we've had many conversations because you
Yeah.
followed me for some time now on my numerous, platforms, and we always would touch on, what if these
Yeah.
programs were going to be cut, and
Yeah.
now present day 2026 with the current administration that's in office, dare I say it, Donald Trump, that day is here, and it's difficult because these programs are what keeps the community going.
Yeah.
You have people that have chronic illnesses such as diabetes, high blood pressure,
Right.
different things like that. But HIV, AIDS, STDs is something serious. And,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't realize, you guys don't only deal with HIV
Right.
and AIDS patients, but, you're also a resource for that people can use
Yeah.
to get housing and to get other essential
Right.
things that they
Right.
for everyday survival.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I always tell people this is when we talk about HIV, at least for our program, it's not just about distributing condoms.
Right.
When we do this work, we're working with people.
Mhm.
And so whatever people are going through or whatever people need if there's a service that we don't provide, we make the referrals.
Exactly.
And that is the things that includes housing, that includes mental health, that includes um, a ton of things,
Right. Right.
that is supported by federal dollars, meaning like your Medicaid, your grant funding, your CDC funding, all HOPWA funding, just housing in general funding. And that's what's under attack,
Yeah.
serious attack lately. Even back in the day, so to speak, Jindal days, we were fighting for Medicaid expansion, excuse me, and that provided a lot of services. Well, services for more people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't quote me, but about 1 million more people in the state.
Mhm.
And John Bell, when he got in office, he accepted the Medicaid expansion,
Of
which
course.
included more services for people living with HIV
Yeah.
or vulnerable to or impacted by HIV, meaning they can get their medical coverage, their treatment, the extended services that they couldn't get prior to Medicaid expansion. So things like that are currently under attack.
Right.
Um, in regards to Medicaid, your federal funding that comes to the states, not just Louisiana, but the states overall. A lot of providers and advocates and people impacted by HIV fought for those dollars not to be cut under this current administration. And we wrote to congressmen, we spoke to all of our elected officials and appointed officials about not getting it cut, and we won that battle, on so many levels. But even when we won that battle, now we got another one.
Right.
Because you have funds, even if they're not provided by the state, or if they're provided by the state, they're being cut. And so people who are impacted or living with HIV don't have that support to buy their medications. Very expensive. And that's a lot of the advocacy and fighting for those funds to stay
Yes.
or to be available if they're not available.
Yes.
One of the other things we're fighting right now, what we mentioned, and you saw the paperwork, is there was termination of the condom program statewide for Louisiana, amongst the other things we're dealing with in terms of HIV prevention. And to be clear, there's different levels of HIV prevention funding
Of course.
and HIV care and treatment. But
Right.
this specific program, which was funded by federal dollars that came into the state, has been cut by the state, the state health department's secretary, to my understanding.
Right.
So that means the sites that we take care of under these funds will be and have been notified that the program is eliminated. That's 1,100 sites statewide. That includes your barbershop. So, like, for instance, if you go in a barbershop and you see a condom bowl, but that's what that is.
Yeah.
When you see us out in the community doing events and have the table set up, that's what that is. If you say, hey, Tamasha, my little spot or my event needs condoms to distribute, we can't afford it. Do y'all have some? And we say, yes, that's what that is. And that's about having access. That is a public health matter. When we don't have the power, meaning all the organizations don't have the power to be out there in the streets all the time, excuse me, then we partner with the places that the people have access to. So just think about it. And I say this with my black men. How often do you go to a clinic or a hospital? You can answer it in your brain. Versus how often do you go to the barbershop? And it's going to be you go to the barbershop more than you go to the clinic.
Exactly.
So if the condoms are accessible in the barbershop, you are more likely going to get them there than the clinic, because you're not going to see the clinic. Because we are also advocating for our black men to go get treated.
And then, too, the other part to it is, too, I mean, I think I can speak for a lot of us young black men uh, going to the clinic is kind of embarrassing, especially when you're dealing with something like that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I can take it back to the barbershop that I frequent. I've been frequenting since I was 16 years old. So, you know, you
Mm-hmm.
can all do the math on that. Um, you know, there always was a, a bowl
Right.
of condoms right there on the table.
Right.
And I've even done it myself. I've seen, uh, young men pick up
Yeah.
2 or 3 condoms for whatever reason. And,
Right.
that has always been a staple in the
Right.
barbershop
Right.
ever since I've known it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So with the termination, we received the letters in April.
Hmm.
All providers that provide that service.
Yeah.
We received it in April. So we're notifying the sites we're not going to be delivering anymore because that program is terminated.
Hmm.
So, when I'm saying the clinic or the hospital, so it's not necessarily, you got to go to the clinic for STD or STI treatment, but, you're going for your annual checkup.
Of course.
And, as a provider, this is why I say it's not just about condoms. We are also always urging our black men to go get their annual checkup.
Hmm.
There are some hard people to convince to go to the doctor.
Right. Right.
And that's one of the things that we do. So if we know, especially when we know community,
Hmm.
we know our populations, we know it's better to have these condoms at the barbershop,
Yeah. Yeah.
quicker than to have it at some independent clinic. Now, don't get me wrong, we have condoms at the clinics too,
Hmm.
but that's why we have diverse sites, from the community health centers, from the community clinics to the barbershops, to the trap houses, to the beauty salons, to the thrift stores,
Hmm.
just all over because we were, out of those 1,100, we were maintaining 260 of them.
Wow.
So anybody that was eligible, we had the corner tire shops.
Hmm.
And see, some people don't think a tire shop needs to have a bowl of condoms.
Right.
Your tire shops in your neighborhood versus Pep Boys are two different
Different
tire
things.
shops.
Exactly.
And when you
Exactly.
understand community,
Hmm.
you understand just because this tire shop has 20 people that comes in versus Pep Boy and Walmart has a ton, we know, and I'm not trying to put the tire shops on
No.
blast,
No.
but we are very aware of why we need those condoms in the corner tire shops.
Right.
You
Well,
know?
it's like you said. It's a sense of community.
Right.
I would rather go somewhere where I'm comfortable.
Comfortable.
And to where my brothers are and my sisters are,
Right.
versus going to.
Right. And even,
Yeah.
and I'm glad you said that because even when we connect with the providers,
Mhm.
we are respectful. We understand that we're asking them to do this for free.
Right.
They're collaborating. We appreciate it. And sometimes condoms in the front on the desk is not a good thing for business. So they may negotiate and say, hey, we can put them in the bathroom. We can put them behind here or in this corner
Right.
and they know to grab. We even have condoms in Zulu Lounge, and we're not about to fuss with Zulu where the bowl at,
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's a powerful thing
Yeah.
because it's hard to get Zulu to do extra things out of Zulu, but we appreciate them and we've had them over a decade. So, Mr. Bunny, it's like, where my condoms?
Yeah.
So it could be in a little container, it can be in a bowl, but it's there and it's reaching who needs to be reached,
Yeah.
who comes through. And that's a lot of the sites. Not only do we provide the condoms, but when we have Narcan, they'll tell us what they need. If we got it, we'll get it,
Right.
get it to them, So all of that because HIV remains a public health issue. We are realizing that some people that are particularly not in the community a lot feel HIV is not a problem anymore.
Or
Now-
they feel, I've observed this too. They feel that HIV is the person's own fault.
Yeah, a moral issue.
Yes.
A moral issue. And we understand that, but it's an issue because if you think about it, diabetes type 2 is preventable,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a public health issue. So the need for the resources and services remain. Certain cancers, my understanding, are preventable, but that's a public health issue. So before we start blaming and pointing fingers and making judgment, we are here to help. And let me make it clear: all of your federal dollars and tax dollars are not just for war. It is supposed to help the people, and that includes your Medicaid, your program service, your mental health services.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things, just to name a few, but there's and HIV services.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of things we are constantly fighting for because we are here to serve the community and the holistic concept of community. Not just my sexual needs
Mm-hmm.
or preventative needs, my mental health, my physical health. Can I eat?
Mm-hmm.
Even when we get out, we're providing gift cards because somebody needs some socks, somebody needs some eggs, somebody needs something, who we coming across.
Right. And that's what people don't realize, it's the little nuances. It's the little things that someone may or may not be able to afford that particular month or that particular week.
Right.
Yeah.
And some people, I know we discussed in Medicaid, but if people don't have insurance at all,
Mm-hmm.
some don't even qualify for Medicaid. We come across a lot of vets that's dealing with other things. So it's about getting them into services, whatever the service may be.
Of course.
So sort of like HIV can be an entryway of the discussions, of what's needed. And here we have people that's talking to us, that's caring about us without judgment. So we can't even say, okay, we just gonna pass out condoms and do testing. That's not even possible at this point, because we've talked to people that's dealing with grieving, losing their kids.
Coming to you, Mike, a little bit more.
People are grieving. They're losing their kids due to violence, due to domestic violence, due to homicide. So when they get in there and talk to us, we're talking about testing, but then they start talking. And so then we're like, okay, how else can we help you? Outside of what we're doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes they just need somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And, that's the biggest misconception when it comes to, programs like HIV prevention mobsters or any programs that deal with the community, mental health.
Yeah.
It's a stigma placed on it, but really and truthfully, a lot of times, man, a lot of these folks that are in our community, especially in New Orleans and beyond also, but, we represent New Orleans. It's like
right.
Somebody's just looking for somebody to talk to. Somebody's just looking for somebody to, hey, can I talk to you for a few minutes? Maybe that can just take some of the pressure off of what that particular person's dealing with at that time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the service that's being terminated, that has been terminated statewide, when you're working with other providers, businesses, colleges, then you begin to develop partnerships. Hey, we need you to come over here to do testing. Do you know somebody that can come do this type of testing, this type of service, public speaking, things of that nature? Like next week, I'll be at the youth correctional center, and that comes from partnerships. So we get into places that normally people who's just reading reports don't want to go into. You get what I'm saying? So we're reaching the underserved, the marginalized, the forgotten, and the professionals.
All right, so you know we got to go to our first break, but we're going to continue this conversation.
Yes.
We are here with the great Nanny T, HIV and AIDS prevention mobsters, right here on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming worldwide on WBOK1230.com. Conversations with Ron Richardson. Hit us up, 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. Remember, guys, you can find me on Facebook. Just search for the Ron Rich or Ron Richardson Facebook page. You can also find me on Instagram, Ronald_Richardson_Jr. on Instagram. You can also find me on TikTok under the same name, LinkedIn, and I'm new to Substack, all under the same name, Ronald_Richardson_Jr. I am all over social networking. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned. This is Conversations with Ron Richardson. Peace.
Hi, this is Sherry Smith for Redefining Ability. When we talk about Black men's mental health, we can't skip the part about disability, visible and invisible. Depression, PTSD, chronic pain, learning disabilities, they're real in our communities, but too often they're told to man up or pray it away. That's not meeting them where they are. Black men are diagnosed with schizophrenia at higher rates, yet undertreated for anxiety and depression. They're more likely to have disabilities from violence, unsafe jobs, or lack of health care. And then stigmatism tells them silence equals strength. But strength is also this, asking for help. It's therapy. It's accommodations at work. It's saying, I'm not okay to your brother without shame. Mental health is health. Disability is part of their story. And community care means we make room for it all. No fixing, no judgment. Just show up, sit with them, walk with them. For more on redefining ability, you can email Ron at richardsonronald024@gmail.com. And remember, healing and recovery starts with you. This is Sherry Smith for Redefining Ability.
Hey family, Ron Richardson here, host of Conversations with Ron Richardson. If you're looking for quality catering and barbecue, you need to contact my friends at Kuzan's Catering and Barbecue Team. Mr. Eddie Bunch and Kuzan's have been serving the West Bank since 2013 with their quality selection of barbecue and seafood. If you're looking for quality catering, be sure to contact Kuzan's Catering, located at 618 Westwood Drive in Marrero, or you can go to kuzansonline.com for more information for all the services that they offer, or call 504-233-4227. Catering done the right way just for you. That's Kuzan's, baby.
New Orleans, you want to know what we're talking about? Tune in every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on WBOK for Conversations with Ron Richardson. The topics will always be hot and the conversation will be all the way live. Meet us there. We'll save you a seat. We can also talk about you and your business as a sponsor of Conversations with Ron Richardson. Contact Ron at 504-874-4584 or email him at richardsonronald024@gmail.com for more details.
In a world full of content, standing out is everything, and that is where Mr. Byron Headley comes into play. If you need professional photography, cinematic video, or scroll-stopping video, it is time to give Byron Shoots in Motion a call so he can bring your vision to life, frame by frame. For more information, you can call Byron Headley at 346-365-4379. That's 346-365-4379, or follow him on Instagram at Byron_shoots_in_-motion. Byron_shoots_in_-motion. Byron Shoots in Motion. Capture with purpose, delivered in motion.
This is Ron Richardson with Redefining Ability. This week we're talking about Black men and mental health. Mental health is an essential part of overall well-being for many Black men, yet it remains an overlooked and often stigmatized topic. While conversations about mental health have grown more common in recent years, Black men continue to face unique social, cultural, and systemic barriers that make seeking help difficult. I am speaking directly to all my brothers, and I am telling you to take charge of your mental health and open up about the issue that you may be going through. There is no shame in showing weakness or being vulnerable. This is Ron Richardson with Redefining Ability. For more information about Redefining Ability, you can contact me at richardsonronald024@gmail.com. richardsonronald024@gmail.com. And remember, healing and recovery start with you.
Are you looking for the next burlesque sensation? Searching for some prime entertainment on a Sunday night?
Well, come down to the Always Lounge as Scarlet Letter presents Show Me Your Noobs. You'll see the finest new entertainers performing burlesque, drag, and a variety of acts that will tease, titillate, and delight you. We're here every third Sunday of the month. Come catch the most raved about show in New Orleans that no one has ever heard of until now. Show Me Your Noobs. It's the perfect night out, whether you're a burlesque regular or sharing your first time with us. Show Me Your Noobs will leave you breathless.
For more information on Show Me Your Noobs, go to thealwayslounge.net.
WBOK online at WBOK1230.com. You're listening to Conversations with Ron Richardson live on WBOK and online at WBOK1230.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Conversations with Ron Richardson on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming worldwide on WBOK 1230.com and also on YouTube. Remember, guys, if you want to catch me on the go, catch me on the run, catch me on the move, you can find me on social media. Just search for the Ron Rich or Ron Richardson Facebook page. I'm also on Substack, LinkedIn, and TikTok and Instagram, all under the same name. And I noticed that I got some new intro music. So I hope you guys like the new sound that I'm trying to bring to Conversations with Ron Richardson, man. Nonetheless, we are back in the studio with my good friend, Nanny T, HIV prevention mobster. What's going on?
Thanks again for having us.
Oh, of course, man.
We truly appreciate this opportunity. It's a critical time for HIV prevention and HIV services, not just in Louisiana, but also throughout the U.S. There's a lot of advocacy and fighting for funding to remain. We still know that HIV is stigmatized, even with elected officials and appointed officials. But the fact is, HIV remains a public health issue, just like mental health is a public health issue. Diabetes and cancer and those things are public health issues, and they should be respected and supported, via funding and just overall support of all of our elected officials, because it impacts the communities, especially the underserved communities or those that may have lack of access to affordable resources. Insurances have gone up, premiums, as well as we are constantly looking at threats to cuts of Medicaid and what Medicaid will and won't cover.
Right.
And the increases of medications that, people have to pay out of their pockets, or that will no longer or are no longer covered by insurances, including Medicaid.
It's we had a conversation, you and I, a couple of weeks ago. You called me and you were like, Ron, hey, do you have time for this? And what did I say? I said immediately, yes. We gonna, and it's crazy. There have always been cuts to programs. You may cut a little here, you may cut a little there, for whatever reason. But I mean, these programs are being eliminated.
Yeah.
Planned Parenthood was one of the first.
Yeah.
When the other side talks about, Planned Parenthood supports abortions, and it's like there's that, but it's also other programs, that
it's other services.
It's other
they
services.
provide, right? Even realizing correct information about the Planned Parenthood in New Orleans. There was not an abortion provided through that Planned Parenthood.
Right.
And I tell people, look up the facts and stop with the gossip.
Right.
Or the what you see on podcasts or what's being fed to you without research.
Right.
So the thing is, the government is one of your biggest funders of community resources, meaning Medicaid is for community. So that's a big funder. So when we talk about what I want to say, termination of that condom program, we hear, seek the funding elsewhere. I get that. We do that.
Mm-hmm.
However, the government is the biggest funder of HIV services, whether it's prevention and treatment,
Mm-hmm.
as well as you can say, okay, well, Ron Richardson has a foundation that provides support to community providers.
Mm-hmm.
Ron Richardson doesn't have a $2 billion budget. You get what I'm saying?
As we say in New Orleans, that part.
Yeah, versus the government has that budget,
Mm-hmm.
which means those funds should be allocated to help the community. And when I say the community, I'm also including the marginalized, the stigmatized, the underserved, as well as the people are well to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they don't have access to stuff in their insurance coverages or access in general, or just need the help, because in our rural communities, they might not seek services in those areas because it's small.
Right.
So they come to New Orleans or, the urban cities to seek services. Or if, at this moment, I don't have monies to buy XYZ, but I know I might engage in a certain behavior, I have access to it because it's no cost or free. But it is a public health issue. The South has the highest rates and highest numbers in, things like HIV, STIs, and other medical issues or categories. In Louisiana, we've made strides to be better in our rankings because of things like making sure people are taking their medications to reduce their viral loads so you can't transmit HIV. If
And
you're
you can't
undetectable,
undetectable, yeah.
you can't transmit it. But
Yeah.
that means they need to have access to medication. And if you're cutting those programs and those coverages, what we're going to see is an increase in numbers again.
And we're seeing it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So from us going to being number one to, I believe we're number 8 or close to number 10, that's improvement. We want to be less, less than that in our rankings in terms of HIV rates, but we've made strides. So when you start cutting stuff, we're going to go backwards. There's other things that we've been fighting for to get more monies to do more work, because you have the other STDs or STIs that we have to tackle, but that means we have to provide access to. So let's go back to the example of going to a clinic or the hospital. If I don't, if the community or the people don't go to the clinic, but they come to us, and we're not a clinic, but if they come to us because y'all in the cut, y'all private, nobody's gonna see me walking out the door, then they have access to that service. And then of course, wherever they go, but it's the access, And if somebody's saying, well, you can come here, but I have a sliding scale.
And that's what I was going to bring
Or
up too,
if
but you answered
you
it.
have to have some insurance to walk in this door.
Yes.
That's a problem.
Yes.
But when you get it from us at no cost, you're getting the service. Give people credit for getting the service or the resource. And the United States has the money to do it. No matter how you argue, I don't care what side of the fence you're on as far as political party, or if you're on no fence. The United States has the money to help. You get what I'm saying? So when the help is here and is being cut, who suffers? And let me be clear, when we say Region 1 or Orleans Region, that includes Jefferson Parish, that includes St. Bernard, New Orleans, and Plaquemines. So the state is divided into regions. Regions 1 through 9. So when you say, okay, well, Baton Rouge numbers are high because Baton Rouge region 2, that includes several parishes. And I'm saying that because people tend to isolate themselves. When you hear New Orleans, well, I'm not from New Orleans, I'm from JP.
Right.
You're included in the regional stats.
Yeah.
So you should be appalled at services being cut too. We serve 3 parishes with that condom program, Orleans, Jefferson, and St. Bernard, right? We way out there in Chalmette. And the other thing too is sometimes when services are being cut, providers are scared to speak up because then they feel targeted.
Right.
I'm scared because I might lose my funding because I spoke against the powers that be. Mm-hmm. We already know. Since I'm on this radio interview, mm-hmm. since we spoke up prior to the interview and spoke up when we got the termination letter, we know our files are being picked up.
And that's what I was going to bring up next. When you called me and we set this whole thing up, you were like, Ron, I'm being hurt too because I'll be out of a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we know we're being targeted. We know we're being looked at. We know our performances and our reports are being looked at. But, sometimes it takes legal action. Mm-hmm. When you're being unethically targeted. Mm-hmm. That's a legal issue, right? But we're here to stand up for the community. Because I say this, I mentioned it at the beginning. We're a church. We're going to have church if we never, ever, ever, ever have another community program. Mm-hmm. We're going to have church on Sunday, every Sunday. But we're not built like that. We are built to serve the people. It don't matter your religion. It don't matter your political party. If we are able to help with the need outside of our four walls in the church, that's what we're trying to do. Yes. You really don't hear about churches tackling.
Plaquemine. I got you.
HIV the way we've done it.
Yeah.
And that's 30 years, starting 30 years ago.
Uh-huh.
That's back in the 90s. Now, being a church, we also go to our peers, meaning the other faith-based, mm-hmm. to say, let's do this. Because the church or the faith-based community has not had a good reputation in the HIV fight. And so that's the thing about funding. Yeah. It allows us to establish partnerships to help with the destigmatization of HIV, because there's a lot of people sitting in your congregations that are dealing with it. If they're not living with HIV, they have family members, mm-hmm. including children, partners, and things of that nature. And they depend on the service, whether it be the condoms, the treatment, the housing, the referrals, and all of it. We get that. Oh, you're not supposed to depend on the government. Yes, you do, because that's where your tax dollars go.
And it boggles the mind when I hear people say that, but that's what keeps the economy going. And I've always said this, ever since I was old enough to understand politics and how they affect us.
Yes.
It's like, okay, we've had presidents in the past, like I said earlier, we've had presidents in the past that have cut programs, that have kind of dumbed down things.
Right.
But, and I don't get political, but I have to with this. I don't, but I have to. And, people who've listened to me over the years on, other platforms know I'm not political, but I have to say this. The right is smart enough to know. Republicans, conservative Republicans are smart enough to know. And everybody who supports that side of politics, mm-hmm. if they cut things and they take things away, but the economy is literally tanking right now because programs are being cut.
And you lose jobs.
And you're losing jobs.
Right.
Versus years ago, you've had the Bush administration, you've had, different, they've kind of dumbed down things. But I mean, these programs are being eliminated. And the other side is walking around and saying, well, it needs to be eliminated. But do you realize who you're hurting?
I know they do, but it's just you got power, mm-hmm. position, and ego, Mm-hmm. So let me use this example. When people say, people shouldn't be dependent on the government. Well, we've been talking about, and I'm saying we, like, just in general, about the cuts for billionaires and corporations.
Mm-hmm.
That's government. You depend on the government to give you those cuts. Even when you're trying to pursue your education, your post high school education,
College, trade school.
you need grants.
Yes.
That's government.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So now when you start talking about other things like health and and categories that are associated with sexual behavior, now that becomes a moral thing, and you shouldn't, and you're not working, and you're poor, and you can buy this, and you shouldn't depend on the government. Listen, your tax dollars are meant to help other people, not just businesses, not just ballrooms, and not just walls. Again, your government is one of the biggest funders of resources. You hear what I'm saying?
I understand very well.
So when you have so you have federal, you have state, and you have city funding.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the termination applications, termination letters we received that was statewide, that's terminating federal dollars. So if you terminate those federal dollars, where are they going? The state, to my knowledge, does not provide monies for HIV prevention out of their budget. So whatever the state budget is, there's not HIV prevention dollars. We depended on the federal dollars to come into the state to fund those prevention programs. And I'm trying to be very clear about it because, like I said, there's different levels of funding and different levels of HIV-related services.
Of course.
Okay? So the termination letter we got, we were under the impression that's federal dollars. How is the state secretary of health terminating these projects? It's not costing the state anything. So, there's a lot of questions we've been asking, and even asked the Secretary of Health to meet with us to explain. Because not only we're trying to see where it's going, we're also trying to let you know you have severed partnerships with 1,100 sites statewide. That's a big thing. You have now established a big gap in services when it comes to HIV. And again, it's not just about condoms. It's about when Ron says, hey, T, you know anybody else that come talk to me about mental health, addiction, and housing, college? And I was like, okay, Ron, give me a minute. I'm going to send you some people over. So I look at my list of partnerships, and I send them over. Call Ron. This is, that kind of stuff. It's a community effort. It's not just about condoms. You get where I'm going?
And it's not, and let's just be real. You're trying to be nice about it, but it's just not about people running around having sex.
Yeah. Right.
This is really a community issue that needs to be talked about. And
yeah, because we just participated in Baton Rouge, I think our 4th or 5th year at the OMG conference with our friends, Sash, and she does a wonderful job. Her and her team does a wonderful job to get the young teen girls for her conference. So when we're doing our education session, I'm doing it. I get to talk to the teens not necessarily just about condoms, not necessarily just about testing, but the educational part. And we start talking about teen sex laws. We talk about sexting because they don't know some of that stuff.
Right.
We ask questions. If you're taking pictures of certain body parts and you have them in your phone, do you know what that is? And some will know, and a lot of them don't. And it's like possession of child pornography. And so then we start saying about get out of your feelings and understand the law. So here we are again. We're teaching more than we're teaching laws, because that's how we get caught, so to speak. You think it's innocence. It's my phone. We have consent, and we're doing this and we're doing that. Nobody's tripping. But here's what the law says. you know. So if you understand the law, then we want to make sure that you protect yourself so you won't become a sex offender. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, man. Conversations with Ron Richardson. We got to go to our second break because we're coming up on our last segment. We got Nanny T in the building. HIV.
Yes, we
and
yeah.
AIDS
Thanks.
prevention mobster. We'll be right back after this. Hit us up, man. 504-582-9422 if you have questions for myself or Nanny T talking about some of these issues. 504-582-9422 right here on Conversations with Ron Richardson. We'll be right back after this on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming worldwide on WBOK1230.com. See you in a second. Peace.
Ron Richardson here. If you are like me, that means you love the feeling of getting a fresh haircut and shave. If you do, then you should check out my friends Eddie and Dana Bunch at First Impressions Barber and Beauty Salon, specializing in hairstyles for men, women, and children. If you want to make a good first impression, you should check out First Impressions Barber and Beauty Salon located at 618 Westwood Drive in Marrero or call 504-341-6777. Remember, it's never too late to make that first impression at First Impressions Barber and Beauty Salon.
New Orleans, you want to know what we're talking about? Tune in every Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on WBOK for Conversations with Ron Richardson. The topics will always be hot and the conversation will be all the way live. Meet us there. We'll save you a seat. We can also talk about you and your business as a sponsor of Conversations with Ron Richardson. Contact Ron at 504-874-4584 or email him at richardsonronald024@gmail.com for more details.
Are you looking for the next burlesque sensation? Searching for some prime entertainment on a Sunday night? Well, come down to the Always Lounge as Scarlett Letta presents Show Me Your Noobs. You'll see the finest new entertainers performing burlesque, drag, and a variety of acts that will tease, titillate, and delight you. We're here every third Sunday of the month. Come catch the most raved about show in New Orleans that no one has ever heard of until now. Show Me Your Noobs. It's the perfect night out, whether you're a burlesque regular or sharing your first time with us. Show Me Your Noobs will leave you breathless.
For more information on Show Me Your Noobs, go to thealwayslounge.net. In a world full of content, standing out is everything. And that is where Mr. Byron Headley comes into play. If you need professional photography, cinematic video, or scroll-stopping video, it is time to give Byron Shoots in Motion a call so he can bring your vision to life, frame by frame. For more information, you can call Byron Headley at 346-365-4379. That's 346-365-4379. Or follow him on Instagram at Byron_shoots_in_-motion. Byron_shoots_in_-motion. Byron Shoots in Motion. Capture with purpose, delivered in motion.
WBOK.
Better pay attention.
Powered by Cox Business.
Thanks for listening to Conversations with Ron Richardson, live on WBOK, and listen online at WBOK1230.com. Now, back to Ron.
Welcome back. It's Conversations with Ron Richardson on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming worldwide on WBOK1230.com and also on YouTube. Give us a call, man. Drop us a line. Hit us up, 504-582-9422. 504-582-9422. Nanny T, Tamasha.
Yes.
Tell the people where they can get in contact with you, man.
Well, our social media, Facebook and Instagram is HIV Prevention Mobsters. HIV Prevention Mobsters. We don't have TikTok. Maybe one day we'll do TikTok, but it's so much we're doing.
Yeah.
So, and myself, if you want to reach me, catch me through those sites. You can inbox me, DM me. I'm kind of cautious about putting my number out there.
Understood.
But if you're on social media, you'll find me.
Yeah.
And, this June 26th, we have an upcoming HIV testing event, 3613 Hamburg Street. That's going to be at our church site location. We're doing free haircuts, free hot food, and we also giving away red beans and rice goodie bags.
Okay.
So it is open to the public. Let me be clear, you don't have to have HIV. You don't have to think you have it. It's just open to the public. And we'll have other things going on, other tables set up. Water is hot. Things we know the community likes.
That the
Something to
community
eat,
needs.
something to drink,
Yeah.
and something to learn.
And I say this every week on my show, man. Conversations with Ryan Richardson is all about community. It's all about community. It literally does take a village, and I do appreciate you working with me all these years, trying to get the message out there. And another fellow sister in arms that I want to shout out that you know very well, Miss Sonia Jean.
Get well.
Sonia Jean Milliman, man. She's also a regular here on Conversations with Ryan Richardson. She's going through a little something right now.
Yeah.
We got to support her,
And that's the thing. That's what
Yeah.
we're advocating for, so that she can make sure to continue with her health
Right.
and not be concerned about not being covered.
Right. And I talk to her pretty often because I always, text her to check up on her. And when all of this started going down, she was like, Ryan, I'm really afraid. She said, my HIV medication
Exactly.
really helps me maintain a certain quality of life and to be able to come down here and talk to you. And now it's being cut.
Right. So
Yeah.
listen, her current position, if I believe she's still working for the agency HIV provider,
Yeah.
is in jeopardy.
Yeah.
So of not being refunded, because we don't even know if we're about to be refunded in any HIV prevention
Now-
category.
I'm ignorant to this fact, but how does the funding work? Do they do like a yearly stipend, or how does it work?
So recently we had to write for proposals, what is called the RFI, request for information.
Okay.
So providers wrote the grant for it, or the proposal for it, and then the Department of HIV and STI from the Office of Public Health said that they would notify us April 1st if we're refunded. We're still waiting for notification.
So April 1st is come and gone.
And the calendar year starts July 1st. So even with the termination of the condom program, we're still waiting for notification if we're funded or not for the other categories like testing, the health models, and the other HIV prevention services. That's sitting on the Secretary of Health's desk. And it's been there since April 1st, to my understanding. So we're dealing with all of that. So even with dealing with the termination of the program, we're advocating just to let us know. Let us know. Because those funds, to my understanding, is funded by the federal government. Remember, to my understanding, that the state doesn't provide funding for those prevention services. The feds send the money to the state. They contract with the providers, right? So we have to follow the rules. So that's a lot of things that we've been fighting for. Remaining of services, remaining of funding, etc. in this HIV prevention world. And we're going to keep fighting. We don't just go to church Sunday and shut our doors. We're going to keep fighting. So Friday, the 26th, from 11:30 to 5, 3613. Come on, get you some food. Get tested. If you don't get tested, still come get some food. Right. And you still can walk away with a red beans and rice goodie bag.
Food is always the
draw.
Yeah, the draw.
Right?
The draw. Come get
so
your bowl of red beans.
That's how community works.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. It's not just, what's on paper. I always tell people everything we do is beyond what's on paper. Don't look at the paper. Come meet me in the street. Come meet us in the community, and you're gonna see the extra steps we gotta take to get the work.
And that's what I want to, say to the other party. It's more than just what's on paper.
What's on paper?
It's more than just what's on paper. It's more than what's
protocols and guidelines.
Yeah, it's more than just protocols and guidelines.
Real time, because you're working with people.
Yeah.
Not robots.
Right. it boggles the mind and it makes me angry. And like I said, I don't ever want to get too deep. But even if you don't have HIV, I am disabled. And everybody who tunes in, I say that, to let it be known, I'm disabled. And this affects everybody.
Right. And I'm glad you say that, because whatever we do that impacts policy, it impacts everybody, not just people living with HIV or vulnerable to it.
Yeah.
It impacts everybody, because if we're fighting for Medicaid, we're fighting for everything that can be covered under Medicaid. So everything, everybody, we're not selfish. It's not just HIV fighting, policy. Because if you're fighting and making sure whoever's in charge understand that people deserve to be treated fairly, then they'll be careful. Well, I don't know. They'll think about always trying to bully, for a lack of term in my brain, other services.
No,
other
that's what
people.
it is. It's bullying.
Yeah, it's like people need assistance, and the service is here.
Right.
Just stop cutting the service.
All right, man. So you know what? It's always a pleasure to have you
Thanks,
on
Ryan.
whatever platform I am on, especially here at WBOK, the station for our people. Very quickly, man, words of encouragement, anything you got to say to my people?
Continue to do your work even when it's feeling weary. That's the things I'm telling myself, because you're working for the people even beyond yourself or beyond your needs. Whatever you do can be impactful for everybody that needs the help that you're advocating.
So it's all good. It's all love between us, right?
Yes, of course, all the time.
All right, man. This has been Conversations with Ryan Richardson on WBOK 1230 AM, streaming worldwide on WBOK1230.com. Thanks for your continued love and support. And remember, healing and recovery start with you. See you next week, New Orleans. Same time, same place, same bad channel. Catch you later. Peace.
WBOK online at WBOK.